Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Denise Kennedy. Denise is a nutritionist and wellness coach. Denise, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Oh, well, first of all, Peter, thank you for having me on the show. It's just really an honor. Yes, I'm a nutritionist and a wellness coach and an entrepreneur. So I really feel like this is such an important area for, in particular, for solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, because we just work and we burn the candle at both ends, and then at some point the body just gives out. And so I love working with people that really want to have more balance in their life.
Thank you. So I will start with nutrition. We know that we are all occupied with our work, and we don't prioritize, or rarely we prioritize food. We just wait that we are extremely hungry, and then we just go and grab something in a fast food restaurant or a sandwich place or something like that. So how important is food? And I'll be a bit out of line here, but I will allow that to myself. How important is the food and good nutrition, of course, for our business success?
Well, our food choices are the number one thing that makes us either head toward really living a full life, or it's leading to illness. So we get to choose that. And that's and I'm a huge advocate for whole foods. So I don't necessarily go and I didn't even tell you, I'm a certified natural chef. So I had a lot more of using and foods in my life that were beautifully done and just lovely. It was much more of a just a connoisseuring kind of development in food, and that's, to me, sometimes where we can get in trouble. So I now keep my food very simple. I really do a lot of vegetables, whether they're cooked or raw. And I keep to about an 80-20 rule, 80% vegetables and 20% protein.
Okay, interesting. I'll try to be more specific based on my
Okay.
example. When
Okay.
I used to be full-time in business before I experienced burnout and almost retired or take time off, I would be extremely hungry, and then I would eat a lot of junk food. And after my retirement and when I was starting my recovery with prolonged fasting, I decided that it's much better to skip a meal and wait for the quality meal, even if it's only next day, than to eat junk food or a sweet or something like that. What's your take on that?
100%, I agree. Junk food is absolutely, it's not even really food when we come down to it. Again, for me, as far as a nutritionist and a wellness coach, I'm constantly talking about we need to be prepared. So we've all heard the old saying, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. And our food is such a critical part, and that's our fuel. So we wouldn't let our cars run out of gas, and we wouldn't let us, those are the kind of things. The food is our fuel. So it's really critical to have the food choices be whole foods. And then, of course, we haven't gotten into exercise or movement, which is really critical. And then hydration, things like that. But taking care of ourselves, our self-care is just critical, especially when we're totally solopreneurs. That's chief cook and bottle washer. We do everything.
Mhm. Okay, so what's your take on coffees and all the things that we get with coffees in America? And of course, your portions are enormous compared to espresso in Italy. So, so what's your take on the coffee? Should we use it? Should we steer clear of it? Should we just go for espresso and not latte and everything that is, however the Starbucks and other called them? Uh, and uh, should entrepreneurs rely on coffee for their energy?
Boy, are you setting me up, Peter, on that. So you're talking to a coffee lover. So what I believe about coffee is it's fine within balance. It's also fine if you are really pretty healthy in your food choices and your health is doing fine. So when I've got someone that comes to me that's got a real health challenge, coffee and alcohol and things that can be more toxic to the body, because if you're already compromised, then it's probably not a good choice until we get the body healed to a point that you can enjoy it again. So I wouldn't say for anyone that it's absolutely no or absolutely yes. It really depends on the person and their condition already. And so that's where I stand with it.
Okay. You mentioned that you recommend 80% vegetables and 20% proteins. What's your take on the carnivore diet?
And funny that you're saying that. I have some clients that are on that, and I think that's okay for a period of time. But I've also seen that it can cause a real problem. And that's a general statement of 80-20, because when I work out with athletes and people that are in competition and things like that, they absolutely need more protein. Absolutely. So again, when I'm working with someone, I have to look at the whole picture. Like, what kind of lifestyle are they living? I tend to get more 55 and over because that's where I are. And when I am coaching people that are 55 and over, it's more of a balanced body, mind, spirit kind of coaching, because if somebody loses their purpose or their voice, or they've gotten to a place where they're just not excited about life anymore, well, then food may not really be the issue.
Okay. What's your take for the calorie in or on the calorie intake? Because, for example, my diet is I'm at least 4 days a week I'm in deficit, just a small deficit, I don't eat. I fast for 1 day, so 36 hours every week, and I have the other 2 days I can eat um, as much carbs as I want. I'm not overdoing it, of course, but I do it a bit more than the calculations say for me. So what's your take on the deficit of carbs? Is that just for people that are really active in sports and they would like to be shredded, or the carb deficit, not the carb, but the caloric deficit is something that also a normal people should practice?
I feel, again, I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I really feel it matters as to everything. When I do an intake form for a client, I need to know how they're living and what they're doing. So if we have a place where we have a deficit of calories, and Is that how you are maintaining where you want to be with your weight, so that you're eating what you want, but then there's a deficit? Is that what the goal is, and is that what you're using that for?
Yeah, I want to be shredded. That is basically, I want to keep my fat under the 15% mark.
Yes. Okay. And I feel like if it's serving you and you're doing that, that's fine. A lot of again, you would be a very unique person, and I don't know if you have a coach, but when I'm coaching people, a lot of times I have people that can't have all the carbs, because that's also, carbs lead to dopamine receptors, and feel good. And then if they have a problem with that, that leads them into more addictive type eating, because they need that feel good food. So sometimes we have to really pay attention to a trigger food that leads to more eating, or more addictive type eating. So that, again, it's very hard for me just to go off of a couple statements and start saying, well, this is what I believe or what I do, just because I'm not sure of the entire picture.
Okay, so there's no general advice. We have constituted that, and everyone needs a health coach. And as you said, it's not just nutrition, it's the whole wellness. And you also mentioned more spiritual part of the occasion. So how should people start working on their food problem? Let's be realistic. In a Western world, more than half of the people are severely overweight, like 20 pounds plus that they can lose. So how should an entrepreneur that would like to change something in their life? You also mentioned dopamine. I believe dopamine addiction is a huge challenge, as is alcohol, as are drugs right now. So how should they go about it? Should they start with testing? Should they get a coach? Should they read a book? Where's the best place to start?
That's such a great question, Peter. I always feel that coaching is a great option, because if someone could handle it on their own, they'd already be doing that. So a coach can come in and actually give them personalized. I do one-on-one personalized coaching. So I always feel that's a great option. And then to address your other part of your question is where would they start on their own? It would be really analyzing, is food just one more drug of choice, so to speak? So if it's helps me unwind from the day is eating, or whether I'm going to have a drink, an alcoholic drink, or something else. But food often can be an issue with someone that's carrying around extra weight that they don't want. So that's where we have to really look at what is the issue. Normally, when somebody's up 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, that's not from overeating at a dinner here and there. That's really a key to me, that there's something else going on here besides the food choices. It's why we're eating. What are we using that food for?
So if I understand correctly, you're hinting that there's a mental component to overeating or not eating healthy. What I would like to get to know from you is, do you think that when nutrition is in question, the coach should be more a cheerleader or more accountability partner?
Oh, absolutely both. I'm not sure I can say one or the other, or it absolutely both. I do both. I definitely send encouraging I do it after every consultation or appointment. I send a summary and I really say, you're doing so well on this and this and this. And then I also then give an assignment. Okay, here's your assignment until next week. Here's what we're doing. So it's really both, Peter. It has to be because I really want people to just be able to live their best life. And unless they're healthy and in a right size body where they feel great every day and be productive in their work, it just, that's the way I want everybody to be able to live in their best life.
Okay. I'll go to more specific question. I hope you don't dodge that bullet.
Am I dodging?
No, it's just what I'm trying to get is your on your view on a specific, or let's say popular topics. For example, one that is really dear to me because I don't do it. I don't like smoothies and all this mixed food and vegetables and stuff like that. What do you think about smoothies? Should we start using them? Because I do believe that a lot of smoothies that are not made of vegetables contain too much sugar, and that was not good for my dopamine problem. So what's your take on smoothies? Should people consider them? Should they include them? Is that still a part of a bigger picture? How do you feel about it?
I'm not a fan of smoothies or having a liquid type dinner or lunch. I'm not a big fan of that, mainly because our brain is set up for actual food fuel. And when we're actually chewing and we're giving the message to the brain that the nutrients are coming and our digestion starts in the mouth with saliva and enzymes being activated. And that does not really happen with smooth, when you're drinking and you're not actually eating anything. So yes, you can get some nutrients. I'm not saying that from smoothies, but it doesn't satisfy the same way as when you're actually putting a meal together and you are eating, you're sitting down and you're eating and chewing and digesting that way and chewing well. So yeah, the brain doesn't do the same thing. And sometimes smoothies lead us to eat more because we don't feel like we've had an actual meal.
Okay, thank you. Another really popular, let's say, tool to help us with nutrition and wellness are all these apps that we use on the phone and we use on our smartwatch. And what's your take on that? There are thousands of apps available. Are there any good ones that you would recommend to someone?
Well, I have clients that use them as far as their food, like they'll go to the store and they can point the app to a particular food that has a label and it kind of breaks it down for them. And if that's something that serves someone and that helps them make a decision, then I think it's fine. But sometimes I think we make food too complicated in my mind. I feel like we've really made this, first of all, if they're eating food that has a label to it, then that's not going to be a whole food, because a whole food doesn't need a label. Like a package of broccoli or an apple or a piece of steak, that doesn't need a label. They are whole foods. So I do believe that we probably overcomplicated food. And so to answer your question, I think apps are all right if they serve a purpose in someone's life and it's helping them make better choices. And I do know that there are some people that do use apps that they feel much better about having that inside information, and that's fine. I don't use that. I don't use them.
Okay, so I have a couple more questions that I would like to address, and I think they will be a huge benefit to our listeners, and that is about supplements. There is so many info and different stories about supplements out there. Are there any supplements that are a must have or must take? And what's your take? Should people use supplements daily? Who should be in charge of choosing their supplements? What should they supplement? And I would really like your opinion on the supplements.
This is one of my favorite subjects, because I was a manufacturer's rep for supplement lines for 14 years. So I really feel that, yes, supplementation is important, but the actual formula and the manufacturer is more important, because there are a lot of big conglomerates buying really good supplement companies, and that changes then over the next year or so in the ingredients and how things are standardized or not standardized any longer, that kind of thing. So yes, supplements, but you said a key thing there, Peter. This is a supplement to a healthy lifestyle. We are never going to find our health in a bottle, in a supplement. It just doesn't happen. It's a supplement to good choices of food and exercise. So importance, I think, when I do a presentation about people saying this very thing, there's so much to do. And what everybody says, what are the top 3 things I need to be doing? And so I would say greens, and if you can, whole food greens, because that is our alkalizing work in the body. And then proper supplementation, hydration, those kind of things. So, but I want to go back to supplements. I would say that a good probiotic is important. We are always balancing in the body good bacteria and bad bacteria. So at any given time, we have 80% good bacteria and 20% bad. And that's when we're basically healthy. We don't really have a lot of symptoms. But when bad bacteria is taking over, then we can start getting symptoms. We may get a cold, or we may get a congestion or things like that. So to feed in good bacteria in the gut with probiotics, that's good bacteria. That is, we really want that to be probably, I would definitely say that's an important part of a good lifestyle choice. The only thing is, too, I want to say here that there are 2 types of good bacteria. One is a plant strain and the other is a human strain. So I really suggest that the human strain is really what colonizes in the gut, because we're human, we have human strains in the gut. So that would be really important to make sure that the probiotic has human strains.
Yeah, that is a great insight, and I'm huge on probiotics.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I would like to address one more topic before we conclude, and
Okay.
that is, internet is full of scary news about the parasites residing in our gut and in our whole body. What's your take on the parasites? how often do you find that parasites are a problem with your clients?
Well, first of all, we all have everything in the body. We have parasites, we have viruses, we have bacteria, we have, I mean, we have amoebas. We are filled with all of these things. It's when the body's healthy, it can handle it. It takes care of it. It's when we're compromised already, like we're not eating as good as we should. Maybe we're smoking or drinking, and the body is already taxed. And then we eat something that has a parasite. So that is where toxic load keeps piling, and then the body can't handle it. But we all have parasites, we all have bacteria, we all have viruses. So the body is well designed to heal. So, and it will. So, but when someone's got a parasite issue, then we deal with that in a couple different ways. We really stop if they're eating something in particular that is causing it. One of the things that can cause this is pork. So if someone tells me that they have bacon every day, or they have this or that, we first want to stop the entry of what could be causing the issue. And whether that's pork or something else. But so we want to stop that. And then we can do a parasite cleanse. And we can do that either, they have them, you can buy a whole kit parasite cleanse, or we can come up with our own. A lot of times I'll just make a really simple protocol for them to follow. And then we watch because usually whatever the symptom is either, upset stomach, not digesting well, could be headache, could be any symptom. So we then monitor, because we're all an experiment of one. So we have to wait and let the body heal the way it's going to, but we watch very carefully.
Okay. So before we conclude, I would like your insight on where should our listeners start. Now they understand that it's important. Everyone is telling us that it's important to have healthy nutrition. How should we go about it, and where should we start? What is the number one step that we must take to go from an overweight, not healthy, towards healthier lifestyle and healthy nutrition that will support our lifestyle?
I would say whole foods. That's what that's my number one go-to, whole foods. So, and this is going to sound really strict, but I would say 3 meals a day, weighed and measured, so that someone doesn't think when they're eating a meal that's three times the size it should be. So weighed and measured, and then no snacking, and lots of water. Those to me are the keys of good health, and heading to getting control of your weight again. And the reason why I say 3 meals a day and no snacking in between, because the mind can make habits with very concise, repeatable types of activity. So if we're eating 3 times a day, the mind can really grab a hold of that and say, okay, it's time to eat. We're going to weigh and measure right here. If we're taking snacks in between, and even if it's healthy snacks, even if it was an apple or a grapefruit or whatever, or we go to a protein bar, but if we're eating 6 times a day, and it's the mind can't form a habit stack with that. It's too confusing. It's like, well, we don't have a rhyme or reason here. So that's one of the things that I really talk with people about is we have to form something that is very organized and makes sense so that the body can repeat it.
Okay. And now, just before we conclude, a yes or no question. So, should we have a cheat day every week? Yes or no?
Peter, if you would, this is so, and so yeah, I have to say this, yes and no. Yes, if it doesn't affect you to say, okay, well, since I had that, I can have this tomorrow, I can have that, because the brain is tricky. It wants to keep having that cheat day. So if you have a problem with discipline anyway around food, then a cheat day doesn't help. It's not going to serve the purpose of letting go and just, really enjoying and having anything you want. So if you don't have that issue and you can have a cheat day that lets you really enjoy, but you are right back on track and you're still losing weight and you are still being disciplined in your approach to food and life and balanced life, then yes, you can have a cheat day. So yeah, yes for some and no for others.
Okay, thank you. Before we conclude, where can our listeners find you and get in contact with you?
Oh, yes. So the name of my company is Total Wellness Academy, and they can get me at totalwellnessacademy.com. So my contact information is on my website, and they can also get a free, if they go there, they can get a free, pretty big size document on how to build a force field immune system. So if they're interested in building their immunity and making sure they're the healthiest they can be, they can get that free document there.
Okay, I will include the link in the description. And thank you, Denise. Thank you for all these insights, and thank you for being my guest tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Peter. I appreciate it.